afternoon, everyone. Today we will be conducting the pre-bid conference for civil works projects. To start with, please all stand for prayer.
Let's pray. Almighty God, the Father, we praise you, thank you. You have given us another opportunity to appreciate life and to fulfill our mission as an instrument of business office. Inspiring us for our shared values. Help us to honor and pride. We need to copy our lives to yourself. Father, bless our endeavors, especially today as we conduct the pre-bid conference. Guide us in our discussions. Enlighten our minds in every decision that we make. Give us the creativity and effectively to our wise and public servants. Bless our plans, programs, and projects, so that we may achieve our objectives very, very well. All this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
And for our attendees, we have here our chairperson, Engineer May Tabiano. And for vice chairperson, we have Engineer. And for the back members, Engineer Joy Villanueva, Engineer Elidor Zulia, and Ms. Joy Dispar. And for our back DPWH, we have Engineer Ivy Celesta, Engineer Flor Angel Gagnanan, Ms. Gail Candice Cañete, Engineer Giovanni Servano, Engineer Adrian Bon Villarreal. And for the back Secretariat members, we have Ms. Ebony Gallio and Ms. Jane Yesca. And we have here a representative from Planning and Design Section, Romel Gonzaga. We don't have any attendees for this afternoon pre-bid conference from our respective bidders.
Contract ID 24GE0044. Construction of concrete road, Lukmayan, San Roque, La Paz Road, leading to Suba, Malawi, Timor, UPB Marine Station, La Puerta Resort, Nueva Valencia, Guimaras. Location, La Paz, Nueva Valencia, Guimaras, with an ABC of 34,300,000. Source of fund, FY 2024 GAA. Contract duration, 147 calendar days. Cost of bidding documents, 25,000 pesos. Scope of works for 24GE0044. Part B, other general requirements. Part C, earthworks. Part D, subbase and base course. Part E, surface courses. Part F, bridge construction. Part G, drainage and slope protection structures. Part H, miscellaneous structures. The required pickup license for 24GE0044 projects are as follows. Size range, medium A. License category B. Single largest project above 10 million up to 100 million pesos. Allowable range of contract cost up to 100 million pesos. Major categories of works for 24GE0044. Roads, construction, PCCP. Similar categories of works, roads, rehabilitation, PCCP. Roads, construction, tunnel, PCCP. Contract ID 24GE0045. Preventive maintenance of road, asphalt overlay at specific locations along Guimaras Circumferential Road, S00028GR, kilometer 1 plus 00 to kilometer 5 plus 795. Location, Poblacion and Alagisok for Dan Guimaras, with an ABC of 14,700,000 pesos. Source of fund, FY 2024 GAA. Contract duration, 44 calendar days. Cost of bidding documents, 25,000 pesos. Scope of works for 24GE0045. Part B, other general requirements. Part E, surface courses. Part H, miscellaneous structures. The required pickup license for 24 GE 0045 projects are as follows. Size range, medium A. License category B. Single largest project above 10 million up to 100 million pesos. Allowable range of contract cost up to 100 million pesos. Major categories of works for 24 GE 0045. Roads, rehabilitation, asphalt. Similar categories of works, roads, rehabilitation, PCCP. Roads construction, tunnel, PCCP. Roads construction, asphalt. Qualifiers. Must have completed reconstruction and reblocking, including base course covering 50% of the item of works of the project. May include airport runways, taxiways, and aprons. Since these projects are under early procurement activity, it is understood that the funds for the projects are to be approved for FY 2024 for the information and guidance of all interested prospective bidders. General conditions of the contract. Notes on the general conditions of contract. The general conditions of contract in this section read in conjunction with the special condition of contract and section 5 and other documents listed therein. Should be a complete document expressing all the rights and obligations of the parties. Matters governing performance of the contractor, payments under the contract, or matters affecting the rights and obligation of the parties under the contract are included in the GCC and special conditions of contract. Any complementary information which may be needed shall be introduced only through the special conditions of contract. Number 1, scope of contract. This contract shall include in such items, although not specifically mentioned, that can be reasonably inferred as being required for its completion as if such item were expressly mentioned herein. All the provisions of RA number 9184 and its 2016 revised RRR, including the generic procurement manual and associated issuances, constitute the primary source for the terms and conditions of the contract and thus applicable in contract implementation. Herein clauses shall serve as the secondary source for the terms and conditions of the contract. This is without prejudice to section 74.1 and 74.2 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184 allowing the GPPB to amend the IRR, which shall be applied to all procurement activities, the advertisements, posting, or invitation of which were issued upon after the effectivity of the said amendment. Number 2, sectional completion of work. If sectional completion is specified in the special conditions of contract, references in the condition of contract to the works, the completion date, and the intended completion date shall apply to any section of the works other than references to the completion date and intended completion date for the whole of the works. Number 3, possession of site. The procuring entity shall give possession of all or parts of the site to the contractor based on the schedule of delivery indicated in the SCC, which corresponds to the execution of the works. If the contractor suffers delay or incurs cost from failure on the part of the procuring entity to give possession in accordance with the terms of this clause, the procuring entity's representative shall give the contractor a contract time extension, and certify such sum as fair to cover the cost incurred, which sum shall be paid by procuring entity. If possession of a portion is not given by the above date, the procuring entity will be deemed to have delayed the start of the relevant activities. The resulting adjustments in contract time to address such delay may be addressed through contract extension provided under Annex A of the 2016 revised IRR of RA number 9184. Number 4, the contractor's obligation. The contractor shall employ the key personnel named in the schedule of key personnel indicating their designation in accordance with ITB Clause 10.3 and specified in the BDS to carry out the supervision of the works. The procuring entity will approve any proposed replacement of key personnel only if the relevant qualifications and abilities are equal to or better than those of the personnel listed in the schedule.
Number 5, performance security. Within 10 calendar days from receipt of the notice of award from the procuring entity, but in no case later than the signing of the contract by both parties, the successful bidder shall furnish the performance security in any of the forms prescribed in Section 39 of the 2016 revised IRR. The contractor, by entering into the contract with the procuring entity, acknowledges the right of the procuring entity to institute action pursuant to RA number 3688 against any subcontractor to be they an individual, firm, partnership, corporation, or association supplying the contractor with labor, materials, and or equipment for the performance of this contract. Number 6, site investigation reports. The contractor in preparing the bid shall rely on any site investigation reports referred to in the SCC supplemented by any information obtained by the contractor. Number 7, warranty. In case the contractor fails to undertake the repair of works under Section 62.2.2 of the 2016 revised IRR, the procuring entity shall forfeit its performance security subject its properties to attachment or garnishment proceedings and perpetually disqualify it from participating in any public bidding. All payables of the GOP in his favor shall be offset to recover the costs. The warranty against structural defects or failures, except that occasioned on force majeure, shall cover the period from the date of issuance of the certificate of final acceptance by the procuring entity. Specific duration of the warranty is found in the ACC. Number 8, liability of the contractor. Subject to additional provisions, if any, set forth in the ECC, the contractor's liability under this contract shall be as provided by the laws of the Republic of the Philippines. If the contractor is a joint venture, all partners to the joint venture shall be jointly and severally liable to the procuring entity. Number 9, termination for other process. Contract termination shall be initiated in case it is determined prima facie by the procuring entity that the contractor has engaged before or during the implementation of the contract in unlawful deeds and behaviors relative to contract acquisition and implementation, such as, but not limited to, corrupt, fraudulent, collusive, coercive, and obstructive practices as stated in the ITB Clause 4. Number 10, day works. Subject to the guidelines on variation order in Annex A of the 2016 revised IRR of RA number 9184, and if applicable, as indicated in the ECC, the day works rates in the contractor's bid shall be used for small additional amounts of work only when the procuring entity's representative has given written instructions in advance for additional work to be paid for in that way. Number 11, program report. The contractor shall submit to the procuring entity's representative for approval the said program report showing the general methods, arrangements, order, and timing for all the activities in the works. The submission of the program of work are indicated in the ECC. The contractor shall submit to the procuring entity's representative for approval an updated program of work at intervals no longer than the period stated in the ACC. If the contractor does not submit an updated program of work within this period, the procuring entity's representative may withhold the amount stated in the ACC from the next payment certificate and continue to withhold this amount until the next payment after the date on which the overdue program of work has been submitted. Number 12, instructions, inspections, and audits. The contractor shall permit the GOP or the procuring entity to inspect the contractor's accounts and records relating to the performance of the contractor and to have them audited by auditors of the GOP or the procuring entity as may be required. Number 13, advance payment. The procuring entity shall, upon a written request of the contractor, which shall be submitted as a contract document, make an advance payment to the contractor in an amount not exceeding 15% of the total contract price to be made in lump sum or at the most 2 installments according to a schedule specified in the ACC, subject to the requirements in Annex E of the 2016 revised IRR of RA number 9184. Number 14, progress payments. The contractor may submit a request for payment for work accomplished. Such request for payment shall be verified and certified with the procuring entity's representative or project engineer. Except as otherwise stipulated in the ACC, materials and equipment delivered on site but not completely put in place shall not be included for payment. Number 15, operating and maintenance manuals. If required, the contractor will provide as-built drawings and/or operating and maintenance manuals as prescribed in the ACC. If the contractor does not provide the drawings and the manuals with the dates stated above, or they do not receive the procuring entity's representative's approval, the procuring entity's representative may withhold the amount stated in the ACC from payments due to the contractor.
Special conditions of contract. Notes on the special conditions of contract. Similar to the BDS, the clauses in this section are intended to assist the procuring entity in providing contract-specific information in relation to corresponding clauses in the GCC found in Section 4. The special conditions of contract complement the GCC specifying contractual requirements linked to the special circumstances of the procuring entity, the procuring entity's country, the sector, and the work procured. In preparing this section, the following aspects should be checked. A. Information that complements provisions of the GCC must be incorporated. B. Amendments and/or supplements to provisions of the GCC as necessitated by the circumstances of the specific purchase must also be incorporated. However, no special conditions which defeats or negates the general intent and purpose of the provisions of the GCC should be incorporated herein.
Section 6, specifications. Notes on specifications. A set of precise and clear specifications is a prerequisite for bidders to respond realistically and competitively to the requirements of the procuring entity without qualifying or conditioning their bids. In the context of international competitive bidding, the specifications must be drafted to permit the widest possible competition and at the same time present a clear statement of the required standards of workmanship, materials, and performance of the goods and services to be procured. Only if this is done will be the objectives of economy, efficiency, and fairness in procurement be realized, the responsible bids be ensured, and the subsequent task of bids evaluation facilitated. The specification should require that all goods and materials to be incorporated in the works to be new and used of the most recent or current models and incorporate all recent improvements in design and materials unless provided otherwise in the contract. Samples of specifications from previous similar projects are useful in this respect. The use of metric units is mandatory. Most specifications are normally written specially by the procuring entity or its representative to suit the works at hand. This is no standard set of specifications for universal application in all sectors in all regions, but there are established principles and practices which are reflected in the PBDs. There are considerable advantages in standardizing general specifications for repetitive works in recognized public sectors such as highways, ports, railways, urban housing, irrigation, and water supply in the same country or region where similar conditions prevail. The general specifications should cover all classes of workmanship, materials, and equipment commonly involved in construction, although not necessarily to be used in a particular works contract. Deletions or addenda should then adapt the general specifications to the particular works. Care must be taken in drafting specifications to ensure that they are not restrictive, and the specification of standards for goods, materials, and workmanship, recognized international standards should be used as much as possible. Where other particular standards are used, whether national standards or other standards, the specification should state that goods, materials, and workmanship that meet other authoritative standards and which ensures that substantially equal or higher equally than the standards mentioned will also be acceptable. The following clause will be inserted in the ACC. Sample clause, equivalency of standards and codes. Wherever reference is made in the contract to specific standards and codes to be met by the goods and materials to be furnished and work performed or tested, the provisions of the latest current edition or revision of the relevant standards and codes in effect shall apply unless otherwise expressly stated in the contract. Where such standards and codes are national or relate to a particular country or region, other authoritative standards that ensure a substantially equal or higher quality than the standards and codes specified will be accepted. Subject to the procuring entity's representatives' prior review and written consent, differences between the standard specification and the proposed alternative standard shall be fully described in writing by the contractor and submitted to the procuring entity's representative at least 28 days prior to the date when the contractor desires the procuring entity's representative's consent. In the event the procuring entity's representative determines that such proposed deviations do not ensure substantially equal or higher quality, the contractor shall comply with the standards specified in the documents. These notes are intended only as information for the procuring entity or the person drafting the bidding documents. They should not be included in the final bidding documents.
For drawings and bill of quantities, please see the uploaded files on PELGIP's and DPWH website. These are the documents comprising the bid. Legal documents, PELGIP registration, SEC registration or DTI registration, mayor's permit, and tax clearance. Technical documents requirements, statement of ongoing contracts, statement of bidder's single largest completed contracts, pickup license or special pickup JV license, bid security, organizational chart, list of contractors' major equipment, list of contractors' minimum materials testing equipment, omnibus sworn statement, ITR and financial statement, NFCC computation, and valid joint venture agreement if applicable. Financial documents requirements, financial bid form, bill of quantities, detailed estimates including summary sheet, quarterly, monthly, cash flow, and payment schedule. All documents shall be printed in A4 format, tabbed and bounded. Please attach the bidding documents in the technical component of your bid. For bids to be submitted electronically online, the following procedure should be observed following DO 87 series of 2020. Number 1, submission of electronic official receipt or purchase of the bidding documents. Number 2, confirmation of the electronically submitted official receipt. Number 3, preparation and submission of an electronic bid. Number 4, modification of an electronic bid. Number 5, non-participation in the bidding. Number 6, withdrawal of the electronic bid. Number 7, opening of the electronic bid. Number 8, file name convention in case of joint venture bidder. Bid opening for 24 GE 0044 and 24 GE 0045 shall be on February 5, 2024, Monday, 9 a.m. at second floor bidding room, DPWH Guimaras District Engineering Office, San Miguel, Hordan, Guimaras. Bids will be opened in the presence of the bidder's representative who choose to attend. Late bids shall not be accepted. Bid submission may be done manually or electronically online. However, bidders should only select one mode of submission, either manual or electronic. Similar to manual submission, the guidelines for the preparation and submission of an electronic bid are contained in the BDS. Bids must be duly received by the Box Secretariat for manual submission or at electronic bids_Guimaras at dpwh.gov.ph for electronic submission on or before February 5, 2024 at 9 a.m. All bids must be accompanied by a bid security in any of the acceptable forms and in the amount stated in ITB Clause 18. Any clarifications? Since there is no representative from the prospective bidders and no further clarification,